Welcome back to the Do Hard Things Today podcast. Today we are talking about the lean kitchen. We're talking about healthy meal prep. That's something we all need a little help with. And we've got an expert, we always love having great guests on the podcast with us. We got Jed Blackwell, runner aboard, everybody's favorite triathlon and running coach, Coach Katie Malone, and I'm Kevin Harrison. And we are here to bring you great, not just experts in the field, but just people in our community that are making a difference and doing some pretty cool things, some hard things. Starting a business, as we know, is a tough thing, but this is something that our guest and her husband have started, and so we're looking forward to having her on the podcast. But before we get to that, Coach Katie Malone, how are things in your world?
Oh, we're doing good.
Doing good. We've got a lot of things going on. A lot of our athletes out there doing some pretty cool things, changing some plans and some other things that we will be talking about. Hopefully, having some of those people on the podcast to talk about their journeys that they're on. But we today are going to talk about meal prep. Meal prep is one of those things that many people, probably all of us, if you're listening to this podcast, you've probably at some point or another jumped into meal prepping and trying to eat healthier, put better things in your body. We've had some great nutritionists on. I think the very last one that we had, very last podcast with Dr. Stephanie, talking about nutrition as well. So we wanted to bring someone else on, and this person is kind of a two-part interview. We're going to talk about what she's doing over at the Lean Kitchen, but also she is a client of Coach Katie and triathlete. So we're looking forward to hearing about that as well. So Coach Katie, I'm going to turn it over to you, and I'm going to let you, since she is your client, why don't you introduce her, tell us who we've got on the podcast, and then let's jump right in.
Thank you. Well, today we have Kamilla Whitney. She is a Lean Kitchen franchise owner, and she has one in Spartanburg downtown and then one in Boiling Springs. And the reason why I really wanted her to join us, not only because Lean Kitchen is pretty awesome, what she provides, but because she has a pretty cool story, like how she got into this. And I love people with a story. I always want people to share their story because it kind of commits me to their product or whatever they're selling or whatever they're doing. So without talking about this much longer, Kamilla, welcome to the podcast. Can you hear me?
Yes. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So tell us a little bit about how you came to Lean Kitchen. Like, what brought you to this franchise?
Well, Lean Kitchen in Greenville opened up back in 2020, right before COVID started. I had a newborn at that point and didn't want to leave the house, didn't want to cook or anything. So I was a customer of the one in Taylor's for about a year. And after 2020, just didn't want to travel for my work anymore. And I was trying to figure out what I could do business opportunity wise that was already part of my life, and nothing that new, but it was already what I was doing. And as cliche may sound, I was just sitting in my living room eating a meal from Lean Kitchen, and I was like, well, why not Lean Kitchen? Just got online and sent an email to corporate asking them if Spartanburg County was available, that I was interested in opening a franchise.
Wow. Oh my gosh. That's a big step. And so then they came back and they said, yes, let's go.
Yeah. So we started the conversation. We had a couple phone calls with Austin, the founder. I had a phone call with Colin Medlock, who owns the Greenville franchises. And we decided to make the trip to Missouri to meet the founders. And within a day, we were in love with the passion that the founders had in the business. And the product was interesting because there was other people that were doing the same thing we're doing, but we had already been eating the food for almost a year at that point. So we knew what the food already tasted like. So we wanted to know the brand because we're already familiar with the food itself. And before we even left Missouri, we were like, we're all in, and just sign up an agreement to open 2 stores in the Spartanburg County area.
Wow. And so that was 2021?
Yeah, so we did that in 2021, and we opened our first store in September of 2022. So we just hit our 2-year anniversary in Spartanburg.
Nice. And so for people who aren't really familiar with what Lean Kitchen is, can you kind of tell us about your meals? I mean, I know about them because I have definitely been eating them, especially a lot during the storm recently.
I'm scrolling through my phone right now looking at them.
Yeah, they're really good.
Picking out my favorite.
They're really good.
Yeah, so we sell all our meals are ready to eat. So we have 25, 30 options in our menu that we rotate through every month. Whether you're looking for breakfast, lunch, dinner, bakery items, we got it. Our goal is to help whether you're trying to make a change for like your lunches to be convenient, or altogether change all your meal options to reach your goals. So we have options that are chicken, steak, beef, breakfast bowls, muffins. Everything is ready to go. You pop the top, 60 to 90 seconds in the microwave, and your meal is ready. There's no prepping, there's no mess. We do all the work for you, and you just got to enjoy it.
But so basically, like your meal options, I would, from looking at them and from having eaten many of them at this point, they are all a little bit higher in protein than what you're typically going to get somewhere else. Is that correct?
Yes. So most of our meals will range about 30 grams. Unfortunately, when you go out and you buy something that is frozen, it is going to have protein. And even when you're buying snacks, they can label something as being a protein bar with just having like 3-4 grams of protein. So we keep it at that 30 grams range. Some of the meals that I have personally created with my kitchen manager are a little bit higher, just because of being the athlete. I am been figuring out that I wanted even more protein through meals instead of snacks.
Right.
But yeah, so they're going to be all in the 30 range. Even on the low carb options, they're going to have a little bit less on the carbs, but the protein stays just about the same for all our meals.
And so I know, like, I've come in, well, I've ordered sometimes, but I've also come in and you can just pick up your meals, which is really awesome. Like when I'm just kind of having a week where I'm off, I can just go grab meals. But would you say your business is like 50-50 with people pre-ordering or people who just come in and get them out of the coolers?
It's about 50-50. We have the people that hardcore have been with us since day one, that they plan their macros and nutrition for the whole week. And they have specific meals that they want to always make sure that it's available. And that's the benefit of pre-ordering, because all the options are available when you pre-order. And if you're coming into the store on like a Tuesday or Wednesday, some of our most popular meals may be sold out, but we still have 20 options plus in the cooler. But it's about 50-50. We have a lot of people that come in Sunday and Monday to pack up for the week.
Okay. So I'm looking at Kevin over here, and he is deep in thought, so I need to let him ask some questions.
Well, I think, looking through your website, there's some really good, and that's one of the questions I was going to ask. I mean, there's quite an extensive, really any kind of palate that you have, you're gonna have something for them. But that was the question I was going to ask. Are all of these things available? And you just answered that. But it sounds like most of them are going to be available at all times, unless there's just a huge run on one particular item. Is that how it works?
Yeah. For example, one of our pasta meals is like our top seller. If you're going to come in on a Thursday, because we restock our coolers on Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
When you come Thursday, that option may not be available because we're selling out so quick, and we're producing a lot between Friday and Sunday. So that particular option may not be available that day, and then it gets restocked on Friday. But overall, we have all the options available.
So what have you seen with some of your clients, some of those that have been hardcore? Have they given you feedback that this has really made a difference in their nutrition? Because it's so hard, right? And I think everybody, and especially a lot of people that listen to a podcast like this, they want to do the right thing. They want to make good choices. They want to eat, quote unquote, right. But we all get busy. We have jobs, have all these things, families, everything going on. Have you seen some pretty good, and I'm not asking for specific examples, you have to give it, but have you seen some of these people where this has been kind of that missing link that has really helped them to get their health in the place that they wanted it to be?
Oh yeah, and you see in all kinds of different aspects, because we have athletes that are trying to cut weight for wrestling and things of that such. So parents are buying the meals because they don't want them to just unhealthy cut weight. We see the mom that is trying to get back into fitness and have the kids, which that was my case. You just have kids, you're always putting in the back burner yourself. And you always just end up eating whenever you have a chance, or whenever whatever the kids are eating. So there's a lot of moms that have really been able to turn their lifestyle around with the meals, the convenience of having the meals. We have the athletes that want to take their training to the next level, but between training, working a full-time job, and meal prep, like, people are getting burned out. They spend Sunday prepping. If meal prep is something that you stick to and you have to spend all weekend making, when people find out about us, they're like, I can't believe now I can do this on the weekend instead of going to the grocery store and be cooking all weekend long. And especially when it comes for women, like, guys can eat the same thing every day. And that's why I turned into Lean Kitchen, because my husband would grill on Sunday and we would eat chicken with some random frozen vegetable all week long. And I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I was like, I need to enjoy my food. Guys can stick to their program and eat chicken and rice every day. Women, we like having more of a variety. We have our taste buds that we care a little bit more. We want to stay consistent with our training and our goals, but you just get tired of eating the same stuff. And that's the benefit of having 30 options in our menu and rotating 46 new options every month, because you're never going to get tired. And the macros, when it comes nutrition wise, everything is pretty similar. That, like, me personally, I don't log in my macros until 4 or 5 p.m. because then I'm just trying to fix little holes on my carbs or protein, because overall the meals are going to be very similar when it comes to the nutrition label. And that's what makes it so convenient.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. One thing I do like is that you have all that listed for every single meal on your website. So if you're, as you're picking these things out, and I know you have packages where you can buy 1 meal, 8 meals, 15 meals, but you can see on there what are the different what are those macros, and you're right. I was just looking at the protein amounts. I mean, your protein amounts are all generous protein amounts, which I think most people, especially athletes, are looking to keep that protein on the higher side. So you mentioned new meals that come out. How often do new things get introduced into the offerings that you guys have?
Every month. So every month, like usually the first Friday, didn't release anything this first Friday because the world was falling apart here. So we're trying to just catch our bearings right now. But usually on the first Friday of every month, I will rotate 4 to 6 new meals. We may bring a new donut into the mix, but usually we try to bring the same amount of new meals that are low carb with the balanced carb options. But yeah, every month we bring like 4 to 6 new options to rotate through our menu.
Nice.
So now that we're getting to like cooler weather, we have a gumbo coming out, we have a chili coming out. So getting more of those hearty meals without the guilt will be coming out next month.
Yeah, tell me about these Reese's protein donuts.
I knew that's where you were going. I saw those. I looked at the buffalo chicken ranch wrap because that looks good to me. But I said Kevin's going to ask about those Reese's donuts.
Yeah, that Reese cups are like one of my things.
And if you have a sweet tooth problem, which I do, so we use vanilla protein from one of our brands that we sell to make the donut. So the donut's going to have vanilla protein in it. The icing is going to have vanilla protein. And then we have these crumble Reese's on top of the donuts. I personally eat my donut cold, and I'll have donuts like 2 to 3 times a week. But a lot of people would just pop them in the microwave for like 15 seconds. And it's just like if you had just taken fresh out of the oven. Yeah. That will hit your spot. If sweets is your guilty pleasure, it will hit the spot.
Well, it's what I'm looking at. It's a better option than one bought somewhere else or at a store or something. Just looking at even with those donuts, you've got 10 grams of protein, 28 grams of carb, only 14 grams of sugar, which is a very small amount compared to what most donuts are. Yeah. So, and then you've got other things on there like the little muscle bites and
those are good. Those are really good.
Yeah. And it's one of those things that we've all made some rendition of this in our home before. We've all had really good intentions of we're always going to have these available to eat, and then life happens and we don't have them there. So it's that's one of those things that is also just a good option to just be able to pick up and do that. So let's talk about you. So how has this has having these 2 franchises that you have, has this helped you in your pursuit? And then we want to talk about how maybe your nutrition and the convenience, which is ultra convenient for you because you own the franchise. Has this helped you in your journey? And kind of want to talk about your story and let Coach Katie jump in here, since she is coaching you as a triathlete, of how have those 2 things melded together for you?
Well, it definitely has changed my life. When I started first talking to them, I had lost my baby weight. So I was in pretty good shape at that point. Not where I am today. I say I'm on my prime. Being 41, I'm officially on my prime. And everybody likes to give me a hard time about that. But
I'm 51 and I'm just hitting my stride. So I'm with you.
Yeah. So I have always been 100% into what I do for work. So when I opened the store, everything that I did for myself took a back burner. Even though I had the food, I was not working out. I wasn't doing anything. So after the store was open for about 6 months, when it hit December of 2022, I was just like, you know what? I need to be able to walk away from the business for an hour and take care of myself because my health was in pretty bad shape. I had gained weight from just working 7 days a week, and just being in the business or spending time with my kids because I was like, those are my priorities. I'm on the back burner. So I started, made a commitment in January 2023 that I was going to be able to run Cooper River when April came and started. I was about 215 pounds at that point and started doing a walk run twice a week. I was like, Lean Kitchen's going to have to survive an hour without me twice a week and stick to that and just cut back my eating to just the meals and start tracking a little bit more because that was in the back burner. So I would eat the healthy meals, but then I would also eat the bad because with the stress, I tend to be an emotional eater. So I got into that. Once I hit that Cooper River, I was like, all right, let's start getting back into triathlon now that I can run 6 miles. So that's how I got back. 6 months later, I was working out 3 to 4 times a week, just doing triathlon on my own. I never really even took my bike out. I was going to the CrossFit gym and getting on the bike machine there and then just running on the treadmill. wasn't able to get my bike out at all. So I was excited to be back in fitness, had lost the weight. So I was feeling really good. And when I did my last race last year was when I was like, all right, I've gone as far as I can on my own. I feel great. I turned 40. I'm in great shape. And I was like, it's time to take to the next level. And that was when somebody came into the store and I was talking about triathlon. And he was like, well, have you heard of Katie Malone? And I was like, no idea. So I just started looking it up. And it was like December when we talked. And as soon as I got off the phone with her, I texted my husband and I was like, I'm going in. I got to do this. And that was a big deal for me because I would still make work my priority. So some weeks I was just working out like twice a week, three times a week. And having started to work with Katie, even though I was like, well, I can do 1 hour a day, she can squeeze some workouts there, no matter what kind of schedule you give her. And then you just kind of have to do it.
Yep, that's all you have to do. Just do the work. Show up, do the work.
Yes, so that's where I am today, because I started actually having a nutrition coach once I hit my goal weight in August last year. So I was like, all right, I want to build into my endurance. I want to take my fitness to the next level. And that's when I started with Katie, because I was like, all right, I got my nutrition down. I got a coach. I need to see how far I can do with this triathlon thing.
Okay. So how far are you wanting? Let's talk about that. What are you're taking it to the next level. You say you're 41, right? Yeah. So you're taking it to the next level. You have proclaimed that you are in your prime now. So what are you going to do? What do you have on your calendar? What are your goals in triathlon? And what are you trying to accomplish now that you're moving into you're well into 2024, 2025 is right around the corner. What are you going to do as a triathlete?
Yeah, so well, I missed Augusta, which was a week 2 weeks ago was when I was supposed to get my half Ironman.
Canceled.
Canceled. I hired Katie because I wanted to do the Alcatraz Triathlon.
Oh.
And
she did it. She did it.
And I did it.
Oh, seriously, you did it. I did not know that. We've got to talk about that.
She swam faster than the sharks.
So explain to people the escape from Alcatraz. Tell people about this triathlon. I did not know we were going there.
Yeah, so I was a swimmer growing up. So I have swam from the Alcatraz. I have done open water. And that's basically why I wanted to do triathlons, because I was like, well, I got the swimming part. Well, unfortunately, I should have been like a runner and said, well, I got the running part. But I was like, that was an item for my bucket that I was like, I want to be able to do the Alcatraz. And I entered the drawing right after I did my last Olympic race in 2023, and I got in. So I was like, I got to do this. So it was the most amazing experience. You get on a boat, and the boat takes you to the Alcatraz, and you just sitting there waiting for them to tell you when to jump, and you just jump like right next to the Alcatraz and swim to the shore a little bit over a mile and a half. I believe that's what ended up being.
All right.
I think it was a little bit shorter this year.
Just like the prisoners.
All right. So, yeah, I was actually listening to a podcast sometimes I listen to these mindless podcasts when I'm driving, and one of them was talking about the escapes from Alcatraz, of like the real life ones, and if they made it, there's questions whether they made it or they drowned. But so let's talk about that swim, as I've heard anything from it as a unbelievably hard swim to it's not as bad as you would think it would be. But I've got to imagine that is just an extremely taxing swim. Tell us about the swim, the experience from let's talk about from the rock of Alcatraz to when you made it to the coast.
Yeah. So, well, this was the first time that I used a wetsuit over there. Before I actually did not know what a wetsuit was. So I actually had one of those
dive suit.
What kind of suit?
She had a dive suit on, and I told her she had to send it back. Sorry.
So I was clueless. I did not know what I was supposed to get.
But hey, the first one was cute.
Not buoyant.
Yeah, no. Now my kids think that I'm just trying to go work at SeaWorld.
Yeah.
Because it looked just like the ones they had at SeaWorld when we went. But yeah, I think most people are not comfortable swimming in open water. It doesn't bother me. And I was looking forward to it. It was funny because it was so cold that morning that everybody is having anxiety about jumping in. And they're like, are you okay? Is everybody okay? Everybody kept checking on each other because it was so windy. And I was just so ready to get it started because I knew once I got in the water, I was just going to start going and wasn't going to be cold anymore because I was cold just waiting for it. And I think that's everybody has anxiety from not only swimming in open water, being super cold, but that's what a wetsuit is for. Once I, and they just tell you to jump in. So it's like every few seconds. And then they have to push the person right in front of you because they're like thinking about it. So I jumped in and I started, and the water, I think they almost canceled the swim because the current was really strong that day. But I had done it before, so I knew the kind of like shape that you're supposed to swim. You don't swim straight to the shore. You're like swimming, you're crossing the current, and then you're turning it right. So I knew the system, and they told everybody the system the day before. But of course, everybody's like a little bit stressed out once they get in. But I already knew what was going to happen. Once I got in that water, and your watch always beeps when you hit 500 meter. When I looked at my watch at 500 meters, and it was like 3 minutes faster than I'm used to swimming at Landrum, I was like, all right, we got this. And I'm not going to lie that I was upset. It took me less than 20 minutes to swim. It was like,
that's awesome.
Looked forward to the swim so bad. And it was over so quick because the current was so strong. And I was like, okay, well, I guess now I need to do all these hills on a bike. I mean, the water was choppy. I feel like I probably look like a terrible swimmer like everybody else does once you start swimming like that because there is no breathing on your side. You're trying to hit your arms because you're hard into the water because you're trying to breathe in a certain way that you're not going to drink because it's like 5 seconds in, you're drinking water if you try to swim properly. But it felt good. I felt good where I ranked at my swimming. And I mean, it's amazing, like swimming and you can see the Golden Gate Bridge right there. And you just keep going. For me, that's the most amazing swim I've done in all of the open waters that I've done or triathlon that I've done.
Something I've always wondered about that particular venue is when you get out of the water, then you a lot of places, a lot of triathlons you go to, it's like the water, the swim portion is, I just want to let's get through the swim portion and then get on the bike and then the real race starts. I've always wondered at this particular venue if it's almost opposite of that, where once you come out of the water, is everything else a little bit more almost melodramatic of, okay, now I'm just going to get on a bike and then go run. I just swam. Like you said, you're looking at the Golden Gate Bridge, and I was standing on Alcatraz with all the history there, and I just had this epic swim, and now I'm just going to go get on a bike. I'm going to get a bike for a little bit and go for a run. Were there any of those emotions, or how did that all play in together?
Yeah, so like I did the swim, and then I'm like, all right, well, I guess now I got to get on the bike. The bike there are some scenic areas that you're going through. And it was good, but wasn't like as exciting as the swim. Now the run was, for me, is the reason why I entered the drawing to go next year, because I want to do it again. Because you start your run on the flat, you go through, you're passing the Golden Gate, and then you start going up steps, and then you get into the bushes, then you're going to the beach. And then once you're out of the beach, you're like, all right, now I just got to keep my eye on the Golden Gate Bridge, because once I get to the Golden Gate Bridge again, I know I only have a mile and a half left. And that last 2 mile on the way back from the Golden Gate view to the end were my fastest 2 miles, because that every time that you were seeing those scenic points, it was just like such an amazing experience. I have traveled to San Francisco a lot. So when the beach that we ran, I took my daughter when she was 6 months old, and have pictures of her with the Golden Gate in the background. So there is a lot of little history for me to making business trips with my oldest, just remembering from when she was a baby. So for me, that was special, that I was like, oh, I was here with Carolina. Oh, we took a picture here. So that part on when it came to the run was definitely exciting. And then it's like you finish, and I was ready to go again. I was like, I want more of this. And I had no doubt when I finished that I was going to enter again, because it was a very exciting race. The biking can be dreadful because of the hills, but the run is definitely breathtaking, almost as much as the swim was.
Oh, well, congratulations. That's a huge accomplishment. So Augusta gets canceled. That was going to be your first half Ironman. So that gets canceled, out of your control, natural disaster. What's next?
So I'm doing Edisto, which is not an Ironman sanction, but Ironman distance at the end of the month. So that's going to be let's see how I feel at the end of the month before I sign up for all the craziness of 2025.
Yep.
Yeah, because I feel like I stick to the schedule for the most part. Obviously, my schedule was far from being perfect. There's a lot of things that I had to prioritize that I couldn't get all my greens on my training peaks every week. But doing Edisto for me is just like finishing the paragraph of 2024 that I've worked hard. Let me just have this one last training session before we move on to what 2025 is going to be like.
Nice. So, Coach Katie, what have you seen with your client Kamilla that we can learn from?
I guess my biggest thing is Kamilla will go to go swim with sharks from Alcatraz, but she will not swim with a beaver in the lake.
She does not like the lake swim, huh?
She does not like the beaver in the lake. She will not swim with the beaver. She will swim with sharks, but not a beaver.
Beavers are destructive animals.
They are, but
look, I go to a swim at 7 a.m. I see this thing moving, and I'm like, I'm not going in there.
So she sent me a picture of it, and she's like, what is this thing swimming in the lake? And I'm like, it's a beaver. She's like, well, I'm not getting in with it. And I was like, okay, it's okay. But
he's just looking for sticks to go create havoc somewhere.
Yeah, but it was pretty funny. I'm like, wait a minute. She can swim with the sharks, but not with the beaver. I think one thing that really struck me about Kamilla is her dedication to doing the absolute best with her training, getting ready for this race, which meant all her bike rides, I just came up with the nastiest little hilliest course I could figure out and try on. And she would do that over and over and over again. Every week, she would just go do it over and over again. It was brutal.
How do you think that prepared you, though?
Oh, I feel like I was definitely prepared for the Alcatraz. And you see people I'm a slow biker, and I'm fine with that. Eventually, hopefully by the time I'm 50,
She's
I'll
getting
be
faster.
fast like everybody else. But my goal was to not stand up on my saddle for the Alcatraz. And when you're going downhill and you know it's a one way and back, you know that you're going to have to come back up. So there's this one hill that they tell everybody not to fly going down because you could fall. So as I'm going down this hill, I'm like, I'm going to have to come back up on this thing. Let's just not get too excited. And I struggled, of course, but it wasn't like, I can't do this. Start going back. And this was probably the best part of the bike ride. Start going back, and the people that lived on those houses had a speaker outside, and it was playing Eye of the Tiger as I was going up. And I just started screaming, telling everybody, I was like, let's go, we got this. And we were just like, nobody coming off their bike and just trying to get on top of the hill. I don't know if they played Eye of the Tiger a million times during the race, but for me, that was the highlight of that bike ride. It was playing as soon as I hit that hill, and I just start screaming at everybody. I was like, let's go, we got this, come on. We're one hill left. And I mean, it was awesome.
You know, it's amazing.
I definitely, every time that I was going up those hills, I'm like, just remember the grunt hill, because Katie writes grunt on the bottom of Death in Landrum. So you know which hills are going to suck when you have to do them, because it says grunt on it. And I'm like, just remember how many times you did that one. You're fine. You're ready for this.
Yes, somebody was like, yeah, I've seen those grunt signs. I'm like, yeah, I wrote those on the hills. And they're like, oh, I should have known it would have been you. But they always do give you a warning that it's going to be a tough hill. If you see me, like, if there's grunt on it, it's going to be tough.
Oh, well, congratulations. That's a Alcatraz. I did not know. I was not prepared for that. I'm glad we got you in to talk about that and the lean. Is there how can people, what's the best way for people to connect with you from a standpoint of the Lean Kitchen? Give us your website, give us, the Cliff Notes version of how it works, as far as the packages, and just anything that you want to tell us about that. And then we look forward to maybe getting a race report from your Edisto, and then looking forward to seeing what you're going to do in 2025.
Yeah, so you can go to our website and we'll direct you to our ordering page. A lot of people like reaching out to me through Instagram for Lean Kitchen Spartanburg on Instagram, and ask questions like, hey, do you have this, or how does it work? Instagram and Facebook are big tools for us because it comes straight to my phone. So I usually am able to get to customers right away. But a lot of people like coming in for their first visit into the store before pre-ordering online, so they can see everything, what it's like, hold the meals. But yeah, you can reach us through our website, leankitchenco.com, or through Instagram or Facebook. You can pre-order through there, or you can just come in the store. We're open 7 days a week.
Yeah.
Our our coolers are always ready to go.
All right. Well, Coach Katie,
thank you for taking time away from probably your training to get on this podcast with us. We appreciate it. Hopefully you've inspired some other people to do some hard things like open your own business, do Alcatraz, do a half Ironman, just a few things. Mm-hmm. Swim with the beavers.
Swim with the beavers.
Thank you for having me. There's some customers, when they come in the door, I'm like, oh, I'm here for another 30 minutes, because I love sharing my story when it comes to my weight loss, my training to where I am today, and just everything regarding being a mom, running a business, and being able to train. I've learned that you apparently have time to train 14 hours a week and run 2 stores. Imagine that. I didn't know it was possible, but Yeah, so I love sharing my story. People come in and they're like, what race you have coming up? Because certain people, have customers become friends, and you just start sharing with each other experiences and goals and things of that sort. So that's definitely something that I like being able to share with people, to give them perspective on how to make choices and life-changing decisions.
Prioritize, right?
Prioritize.
Yep.
That's right. You have time for the things that you make time for.
Kamilla is a master of prioritization.
Yeah.
I will say that for sure. So thank you so much. Get out there, do your training, and hopefully we'll have you on another time, maybe after you do your Ironman.
All right. Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you for having me, guys.
Thanks.
And just like Kamilla, and in her business, in her training, no matter what it is, it's the same thing. The priorities make it happen. And if you'll do those hard things today, tomorrow will take care of itself.